Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome to the Flagstick Podcast. Episode 97, we're inching closer and closer to the big 100. That's going to be an interesting show. We'll have to figure out exactly what the plan is going to be for that. But for now, let's do 97. Episode 97 presented, of course, by our good friends at Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in Canada. With over 400 fairways, closer than you can imagine, top-tiered accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book those golf vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca. Before we dive too deep into what we're going to do, make sure you're following across all social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Please subscribe to Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And we really encourage, obviously, you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us and click the notification bell to make sure that you never miss anything that we put on the YouTube channel. And, of course, the Flagstick Academy stuff continues to be a very popular item up there. Very popular this week.
You know, I will laugh. So I literally played 9 holes golf yesterday. I was on the second tee. Jeff Henning, who longtime Kingstonian, longtime great golfer, was an assistant pro back in the day, heavily involved in some other events and stuff that golf related. And he says to me on the second tee, he's like, you did notice I made sure I lined the golf ball up with my dominant eye, right? The first hole. I was like
crazy.
I was like,
it's so funny. It really is. Like it is, the golf community is as big as it is small.
Yeah, and, exactly.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because there's an example of somebody who obviously watches the tips or whatever, or gets the newsletter and follows the Brandon played in, my son Brandon. I don't know why I have to say my son Brandon. We're doing this long enough to know by now everybody knows when I say Brandon who I'm talking about.
Probably.
But he played in the OVGA Cup, the U19 Junior Cup, and on the final day, so he had a rough start. Round 1 at Highlands had a rough start. Never seen the golf course before. Got into some tree trouble on a regular basis.
That will happen.
And then at Eagle Creek, he rebounded with a massive round at Eagle Creek, and to
make the cut.
On the number.
Yeah.
And then went on and played at the Marshes on in the final day, and had a great day there too. Like it was his front nine didn't finish as strong as he wanted. He had a good round going, and then he kind of got into some issues on 7, 8, and 9. But he brought it back. Anyway, I don't know why I'm saying all that, but I'm saying all that to say this. Very first tee, his playing partner. They both hit their tee shots. We're heading down the fairway, and his playing partner turns, and I had decided, because his playing partner had a caddy, I was just going out there to spectate. But because the OVG allowed caddies for the final round only, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm out here. I got the running shoes on.
Why not?
Okay, you want me to caddy for you? He said, yeah, that'd be great. So I caddy for him. As we're walking down the fairway, his playing partner turns to me and says, "You're the podcast guy." Here's this 16-year-old kid.
That's funny.
And his buddy caddying for him, walking down the fairway. He turns to me and he says, "You're the podcast guy."
That's like, funny.
Yes, I am. He says, I listen to your podcast, or I watch your podcast all the time. And I'm like, you watch it?
Okay.
Like, that's awesome. I said,
that's funny.
So anyways, there was a little bit of conversation about that.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a big community, but it's a small community. And we appreciate that. And it's always fun to hear that stuff. And same thing within that group, and having some long conversations about podcasts, some newsletter discussions, and whatever. So thank you everyone who listens and gives us that feedback, because that motivates us and keeps us going.
It does indeed. Okay, well, we got plenty of golf happening right now. We're going to catch you up on some news, as we always do, and some other topics in the front nine. The back nine, we're going to discuss the captain's picks for the 2024 President's Cup. They were released on Tuesday from both sides. The U.S. kind of did the simple selection process.
Which we'll
the
get
international team, Mike Weir, a little bit more tougher decisions to make. Maybe he made the decisions tougher than they needed to be. Maybe he didn't. I don't know, but that's what we're going to talk about. You and I have opinions about this. I have my opinion about it. We're going to talk about it, and that's what they are, their opinions. So, but we'll discuss that on the back nine. So let's get to the front nine first. Presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Still tons of golf to be played this year. Definitely. All golf in Metcalf is beautiful too. So, as it is everywhere, but lots of trees that change color.
Which again, will be something we discuss later. But I know, having done a fall photo shoot at Metcalf before, spectacular, great trees.
Very much so. So anyway, still lots of golf to be played. Purchase some of those 10, 20, 30 game passes. They do go from 1 year to the next. So you don't have to worry about, I bought 30, I can't play 30. They go from 1 year to the next. So don't worry about that. Keep on saving compared to regular green fees. So visit metcalfgolf.com to book tee times and to shop. Now, on the front nine.
That's actually, before we get to that, that's actually a good way, if they carry through, it's a good way to lock in your green fee. You know what I mean? Because obviously rates are going to go up from year to year. So buy in advance and you'll save a few dollars that way.
Absolutely. I mean, if you know it's your plan, then I would be preparing for, obviously if budget reasons don't allow you to spend the money now, well, I understand that. But if budget reasons do allow you, and you don't want to be a member somewhere, which is also a great thing. But if you don't want to do the membership thing, you just like to play around, why not get 10 or 20 passes now? Just bank them, hang on to them, get 10 or 20 passes wherever you want to go, and start planning your golf for next year now. Then you can just kind of relax over the winter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and who knows, the places might sell out of them.
Yeah, no, that's true too. That's why it's always better to buy a membership in the fall than it is to buy a membership in the spring. Reason being, most golf courses, if you buy your memberships now, will let you play the rest of the year for free or at a discount. That's kind of a normal thing in the industry. Some have changed that because they have wait lists and stuff, so they're not as desperate to, I shouldn't say desperate. So desperate's a bad word. They're not as in a hurry to get all their members locked in at the end of the year because they already have so many. But if you're thinking of getting a membership anywhere, Metcalf, otherwise, good time to do that is right now.
Definitely, 100%.
All right, senior women's intersectionals.
Yes, sir.
And then there were none.
Yeah, thankfully.
It's we love doing what we do, but when it comes to intersectionals, especially, and we're not even doing the intersectional wrap-ups to the level that we used to do the intersectional wrap-ups. I mean, this used to be even more in depth than it is now.
Yeah, the difference now is that there's a greater urgency. So before we had time to deal with, to sort stuff out, get it posted, do stuff for the magazine. Now, because of the internet, digital media, so forth, people are swarming the website for the results as fast as they come in. So to give you an idea, and I mentioned it before on the show, intersectionals days is like, as soon as I know the timing when results are going to start to come in, I am stuck in front of my laptop, scouring the internet,
everything's coming.
Exactly. Getting photos in from other people, trying to find out who the 6-pointers are. And it's a fluid process. And even this morning, just before we jumped on the show, I had Dr. Grace Lee from Royal Ottawa, just sent me an email and mentioned that I hadn't put in the 6-pointers for the B. And I was like, again, you're just kind of looking through them and you get so many coming in all the time that sometimes you get the miss. So it is a fluid thing. We keep adding them. We have the full results there. We don't have all the 6-pointers yet. But, hopefully when we get all the full sheets, we can add those in there as well. But yeah, it basically runs right through till probably close to midnight on those days, and then into the morning as well, getting those up there. But
I still remember the old days when the results used to come in by fax. So I had one of those thermal fax machines in the living room of my apartment, and I used to have all the results come in that way, but but on intersectional days it was like the fax machine was coming in, the score sheets would get faxed in.
Should I put a show note out to tell people what a fax is?
Let them look it up. You can Google that. You
Yeah,
can Google
exactly.
it because you can Google everything.
Yeah. So yes, the last ones of the years are done for the OVGA, which is fantastic. Congratulations to everybody who took part, everybody who tried to qualify for their teams, to the successful teams that are moving up into next year, and in this case for the OVGA Senior Women's Intersectionals, to Rito View for prevailing in the A section at home. The full results are at flagstick.com.
That they are. Okay. The aforementioned, the well aforementioned OVGA Junior Cup. That actually happened. First time it's been 3 rounds.
Yep.
My understanding is that it was 3 rounds, and it is also the first time that the OVGA Cup would receive official ranking points.
Yes, exactly.
Now I'm going to play the naive dumb guy here for a second, because I know that there's a ranking system for amateur golfers, and I know that not every event that amateurs play in receives said points. So I guess this is the first time that the OVGA Junior Cup has been one of the events. Now, are there other OVGA events that do get those ranking points?
So it's all part of the Ontario Junior Golf Pathway. So they're basically the website for all the tours around the region, and obviously the OVGA qualifies for that. Play Junior Golf Tour also within our region as well. So all those finishes add in and are qualified for those points. So
beautiful. We need the Flagstick shootout and the
well, that wouldn't. It wasn't those. Yeah, those wouldn't count because they're junior events. This is specific to junior. So those events are specific to amateur, and yes, they do have points in the amateur ranking. So
beautiful. Okay, so that took place. Obviously, I mentioned before the first round was at Highlands North. And the second round was played at Eagle Creek. So everybody that participated this year got a round at Highlands, a round at Eagle Creek, just to kick it off. And then they cut the field in half.
Yeah.
And that's cut the field in half over a number of divisions. So the biggest 2 divisions, obviously, in this were the U19 boys and the U17 boys. So basically junior, juvenile.
Yep.
And and you know, there was some really good golf. I mean, I saw really good golf within my own group. I only saw the final round.
Okay.
So the way they had them sort of set up, it wasn't just all the age groups going together. They kind of had it. He had it sort of the draw done so that certain age groups were finishing at certain times, and there was a good entourage of spectators at Eagle Creek, and there was a pretty decent entourage of spectators at Marshes to watch. And there was some pretty phenomenal golf being played there. But I'll let you get to the results. So we'll just announce who the winners were, and then you know other results can be found online. So
Kaylee Spare, Peyton Pattison, Jason Ross, Kian Gauthier, and Wilson Dornenkamp were the winners in the various divisions. So congratulations to them. All had very successful seasons. Certainly saw their names and wrote their names a lot this year. So congratulations to them and their OVGA Junior Cup wins.
I gotta say, the Marshes is a on the surface, the Marshes, you see 6, 6, and 6, right? So you got the 6 par 3, 6 par 5, 6 par 4. So you're thinking,
sure, I can take advantage of it.
Yummy, let's go.
Yeah.
They gotta be 6. They gotta be 6 of the toughest par 5s
they are
on the planet. So this is the first time. I mean, I've seen the golf course numerous times. Some of the kids had never seen the golf course before. This is the first time seeing the golf course.
That's a
tricky way to play. This is the first time Brandon's seen the golf course.
How do you enjoy number 2?
So he parred it. But listen,
nice.
Better than his dad did when he made 12. But I went on to shoot the same score that day. So I did tell him that after the fact, not during the fact, because I didn't want to get all stressed out. But so number 12, he hits it in number 5 fairway.
Oh, okay.
He's setting up. He cuts his drive. He hits a bit of a fade with his driver right now, and he likes it. So he sets it up right where he needs to. Fade. So we picked the spot.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's because I'm aware. I picked the spot, and I said, the way you hit it, if you pick that spot, you hit a fade off of that, you're going to end up in the left side of the fairway, and it's going to run down to the middle a little bit. We're playing around. You're not reaching it in 2 anyway, so we don't really need to do anything except get it in play.
You meant a number 2. He was in 5 fairway. You said 12.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry. I meant sorry. Yes. Sorry.
I was confused here. I'm like,
yes,
wow.
Number 2 is in 5.
Really offline.
So he picks his spot, bang, hits it right on his line. Nah, done cut. just goes dead straight. Flies it over Jerry. Jerry's on the corner because obviously Jerry's on number 2.
This is Rules official Jerry Bauer.
Yes. Flies it over the trees, and Brandon's just he's like, damn. I said, don't worry about it. It's just going to be in the fairway.
That's exactly. It's a good spot.
It doesn't make any difference. No. I said, the only thing is you're not going to be able to see where you're going. But I said, we'll get a spot. Exactly. So he gets over there, and I can see Jerry, and Jerry's like, he's got a good lie. He's in the fairway. So he goes down. He hits that one over.
Yeah.
Up to like, I don't know. He had like 170, 180 in from where he laid up. And then he hits that one and hits a little cut off the hill. Hits the bank of the hill and runs down. He's down front of the green area. Perfect. Chips it up, makes par. I'm like, damn, that is how you play this hole.
Exactly.
100%. So, and his playing partner pretty much did exactly the same thing from in the middle of the fairway, but they both kind of played around the
it's kind of like St. Andrews. It's like play everything to the left and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing but trouble to the right.
So anyways, the thing is the wind.
Yeah, I heard.
I have never seen wind at the marshes like that. And I commented on Facebook. I posted about caddying for him, and I said I haven't seen winds since we were in Scotland like that. Since we were in Scotland, those winds were those were 2.5, 3 club winds. So on a lot of holes that would made it tough for these guys.
Yeah, of course.
And if you're not the kind of player that flights the ball. Like you can change the height of your shots, and most kids this age, they're not quite. Their games aren't quite fine tuned to that level where they're good, but when the wind picks up and it's in their face and crosswind, a lot of them they don't know how to play those shots. Brandon hits the ball extremely high.
Yes, he does.
So downwind, you don't worry about not getting it there, but you do worry about what happens when it gets up there because the wind will carry it. So you're kind of every club might carry 1.5 clubs further into the wind. If the club face is as a golf teacher and as a pro, if the club face opens even slightly into the wind and you get that extra spin on the ball, it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
In fact, it comes back to you. So that
hurts you twice as much into the wind as it does down.
Yeah. So that caught him on a couple holes hitting into the wind distance wise, especially there were holes that had water on them. But number 18. It was insane. They had them up.
I mean, it's a tough hole as it is. And actually up actually almost makes it harder because it brings other hazards into play.
And exactly. So they had them up off the 414 tees.
Yeah.
Well, from the back tees, you could hit it where a lot of them were hitting it. And it would just, whatever, you'd be in the fairway. A lot of them that didn't get far enough down actually had to lay up to the hazard, the marsh, and then hit it from there. Had to hit like 140-yard shot over the marsh because they didn't hit it far enough. Brandon hit it in the right bunker, and when we got in there, he's like, "Nah." He said, I'm not doing this. He's like mad because he hit it in the bunker, but then he takes a wedge, he pitches it out over to the far left. And then hits it 160 yards from there and just absolutely striped the 6-iron onto the green and almost made the par. But the reason it kind of caught my head is because I was talking about Wilson Dornicamp. Good player, small, doesn't hit it a long way, hits it very straight. But he was one of the ones I said he couldn't play driver onto the green. He had to take driver. And then I think he hit an iron or I think he hit a hybrid or something over to the left up, like kind of cut over part of the marsh and then hit that to like 2 feet, which is typical of Wilson. That's exactly as if the hole's too long, who cares? I'm making par. And if the hole's a good length, I'm making birdie. The kid can putt and he's got a great short game. It was funny just watching. They were all playing it that way. Like they just couldn't get,
Yeah.
The bigger boys like Minkhorst had no problem.
Yeah,
getting it across.
Yeah, it's good that they were able to adjust, and I mean, tough conditions, and that's just the way it goes. I mean, the conditions are only going to get tougher as we get into the fall here. And all I'm thinking of right now in my head is all the kids that are playing college golf, university golf and stuff right now in Canada. And that's what they're about to face.
Well, this is their season, right? Like this is they start now and they go until the the early late fall in October, and then they're done until the spring kind of thing.
Exactly.
So anyway, great event. Hats off to the OVGA.
Cool.
It was fun to watch. Well, very well organized. And we see a lot of the same people out at the Flagstick Open and the Flagstick Shootout helping us out. Big Jim, Jerry, a couple of the other rules officials are out there. So great event. Good experience for all the kids. Brandon loved the tournament experience this year, but tournament experience is now over because we've shifted to the from the fairways to the ice.
To the ice. Yeah.
So okay. Moving on from that, I gotta say this one shocked me a little bit.
Did it? I thought I told you about this.
I know you did not.
So I knew about
so
this.
When I saw the first social media post about it, I'm like, what a.
Okay, should I give a little background? You can say what it is.
Okay, so I'm gonna say what it is. Curtis Barkley. We all know Curtis Barkley. Curtis is longtime top amateur in the region. Has become very well known for his play on the G4D tour. Has decided to turn pro.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's
the deal? So
where the heck did this come from? Because it's out of left field for me.
Yeah, so I talked to Curtis earlier in the year. He mentioned it to me probably a couple of months ago that he was thinking about it and going ahead and at some point he was going to do it. The reason for this is that people have to understand that the G4D tour helps the players out a little bit. But these are events that happen around the world. A lot of them happen in concert with DP World Tour events and so forth. Things get very expensive very quickly. Now, what we're seeing is that there is potential happening here for some of these G4D events, and some other related events are possibly looking at having pro purses, because a couple of the players are trying to turn, are planning to turn pro. There's still some minor opportunities to play in open tour events and things like that. Costs are very, very high for all these amateurs going around and playing these events. So Curtis just felt it was time. He can still play in a bunch of different events. They're not just amateur only, but he can also play in the pro events and take a full cut of the purse, because obviously as an amateur you're currently allowed to get up to $1,200 in Canada for an event, but this allows him to take up other opportunities, go all out as far as fundraising and things. There's rules with your amateurs about expenses and money and sponsors and so forth. So this allows him to be a little bit more unrestricted. And he started off by playing in the Cornwall Open and tying for 5th there. And again, those events are not going to necessarily provide you tons of income, but they're good examples of things that he could go and do and potentially win money at and fill out his schedule as well. So if he wants to play East Coast Pro Tour or Toronto Players Tour or anything like that and fill out his schedule and not have to travel around the world, he can pop into those events and possibly pick up some money and so forth. So and build on the 67 wins he had as an amateur. So
67 wins. And those are just those 67 wins are not all as an amateur on the G4D tour. These are wins because he won the Flagstick Shootout back in the day. So that's awesome.
Yeah, he's actually yet to have a win on the G4D tour, but he's the number 7 ranked G4D tour player in the world. But he's obviously won 3 Canadian All Abilities Championships, 3 Ontario All Abilities Championships, a number of those. And again, those come with expenses and so forth. So so good luck to Curtis. Looking forward to that. We did a little stage presentation with him at the Ottawa Gatineau Golf Show this year. Great guy, and we'll probably have him on the show here at some point soon and get him on to talk about this and how it's going to change what he does in his golf career.
Okay, awesome. Good luck, Curtis. We will be watching, and we will be following and posting. So, PGA Tour Americas wraps it up this week at the TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley with the Fortinet Championship. I'm excited to hear that you are going to take a trip up there tomorrow. I'm not as upset because I know you're not playing.
Right, exactly.
So if I knew you were playing, I might be a little bit upset. Plus, I am free tomorrow, and could have. Well, I'm not going to drive up just to watch.
Tonight.
I mean, it's
I'm driving up tonight.
Too many other things going on. I got to get groceries. I'm just kidding. Anyways, number one, John Kiefer from the United States. Number two, Frederick Jetrup. Is that right?
Sure, whatever you like.
From Denmark. And number three, Matthew Anderson from Canada, all mathematically in the top 10 or in the 10. We won't call it the top 10 because they call it the 10. Right. And that'll end up getting them some level of Corn Ferry Tour status. But you're going up there kind of to support the PGA Tour Americas, get a little reporting on it, but get some firsthand knowledge of what's going on with Noah Steele, the kid.
The kid. So the kid who's not the kid. So obviously want to go up and see the new facilities. They've done some great expansions up there, getting ready to host the RBC Canadian Open next year. So want to check that out. Had opportunities this year, but just wasn't able to make it and get up. So I want to see that. See some of the action, check in with Kingston's own Noah Steele, follow him for the day. Going to go out for a walk with some of his family and watch him. Just looking forward to it. And it's always good to be around that tour. And I've missed out going to a couple of events this year, so I want to take advantage of that. So I'm going to head up tonight and then head up to Caledon in the morning. He should have an early morning tee time because he's playing late today. And we'll post some content on our social media from there.
Cool. Okay. We're up against it here. Got about 5 or 6 minutes left. So before we, I know we had sort of earmarked to discuss fall trip discussion. So let's just push that into the back nine a little bit. Give us a little bit more time because I don't think we'll need the whole back nine to talk about the President's Cup. So we'll move the fall trip watch stuff into the back nine. We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk some President's Cup, some selections, and leave it at that. So let's get out. Let's take a break right now. Also, remember, Flagstick Academy Golf Tips, sponsored by Castleview Golf and Country Club, are back across all social media platforms. This week, the tip is on lining up your putts. So, funny story about that tip, but that's the topic for another discussion. That's the top for just in the processing of the tip this week. It was kind of an interesting.
Oh yes,
little blooper action going on there. I'll hang on a second here. What do we got? Okay, I got like 5 minutes.
You can mention it.
So every week I you'd think that I would, since I have all of these, I would put them all together ahead of time, take a half a day and just do all of them. But no, I prefer to usually do them the night before when Scott reminds me that we're posting them the next day. So I'm like, no problem. I'll go into the office and I'll do it right now. So I go to the office to do it. I get my stuff out. I pull the video over. That's the tip. And I don't think we're going to use the one that Scott says blah, 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 blah at the end of. So I have to call Scott. I was like, do you got a second here? Something not right here, dude. This isn't right. This wrong tip. There's a blooper at the end of it.
You had a couple of them that had bloopers.
Yeah. So he's like, I think maybe we just did this. So he goes away, comes back. All right. He sends me over the new tip. I get it up and it's all good. And then he said something about, can you crop out the Darth Vader voice at the beginning of it? I actually didn't even really hear the Darth Vader voice when I was doing it, but I took out the first 5 seconds of it.
It was the breath. All you hear is me inhale, go.
So anyways, these are the things that happen. But the funny part about it is, and then we're out, is that all these bloopers exist.
They do, sadly.
And I don't know when I might be really bored this winter.
Oh, I'm so barbecued.
And take all of these bloopers and assemble them into some kind of a clip that we post on YouTube and social media and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, and I'm fine with that. We have to tell people.
Oh, I know you're fine with it.
Oh, I know, but people have to realize that all the things that they see on the internet, they all look perfect. Yeah, good luck with that. So 24 tips, certainly had a few bloopers.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing the compilation and be totally embarrassed by that, but it'll be funny. It'll be funny.
Funny part is you won't get to see the compilation till it's already done.
Perfect.
All right, now we're gonna get out, take a break.
Right.
And when we come back, we're going to get into some fall golf talk. We're going to get into some President's Cup talk. But for now, time to take a breather. You're listening to the Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
All right, well, welcome back to the Flagstick Podcast. I'm Jeff Botter. He's Scott McLeod. We are your hosts, your gracious, wonderful hosts.
So what our wives say?
Probably not. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. All right. As I mentioned before we went to the break, push a little bit of the fall golf discussion into this side of the round. So, and then we'll talk some President's Cup. So let's get to our back nine, presented again this week by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. With 27 holes of fun, challenging golf at great rates, Falcon Ridge Golf Club is a golfing experience you can't avoid. And the experience has gotten even better. Building the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario, TrackMan Range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice games and virtual golf. To book those tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. So the things that you only see when you watch us on YouTube, and Scott's got a mug that's got Kiowa Island on it.
There we go.
The ocean course at Kiowa Island. Is that from when we went? Or is that from when you went after me or before me?
Yeah, I've been a few other trips, so I'm not sure when I bought that one. So yeah, but yes, one of my favorite layouts. Yeah,
do love the ocean course.
It is a good
all
one.
8,000 plus yards of it.
Exactly. Don't play it with just a 3-wood.
Oh, that's right too. Who it was
Rich,
you? Rich broke his drive. He had an Adams driver or something. Adams tight-lized driver. You remember those things?
Oh yeah, broke it in Florida, and then we were driving up, and he only had his 3-wood to play off, and refused to hit one of our drivers. And
why would you let him?
I don't know. I didn't.
He takes a divot with a driver, doesn't he?
Yeah, true. Good point. Sorry, Rich.
I'm sorry, Rich. Rich, I'm so sorry, but I've seen it.
Hey, and I think the back tees, I think when we played that, it was only like 7,200 at that point. So nothing.
Yeah, well, crazy. It's not 7,200 now. It wasn't 7,200 when we were there.
No, it was up to about 78 then. And then when I went back, they were getting ready for the 24 PGA.
Where did we play it from?
2014 PGA. I think we played it just under 78. And they had 81.51 available.
How dumb am I to even, like, what is wrong with me? I have never hit the ball long enough off the tee to justify playing any golf course.
You want to see the golf course.
Yeah, I want to see the golf. And then we went and did the same stupid thing at Sedgefield.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it's not quite as long.
Now, I shot 78 there, but that was driver, 3-wood, driver, hybrid, driver, 4-iron, driver, 3-wood, driver, hybrid. Par 3s were driver, 3-wood, and hybrid.
Let's just say the host of the Wyndham Championship on the tour plays a little bit different in August versus October. September, October, we're there a little bit softer. When the tour is there in August, things are rolling a lot faster.
I insist on doing that to myself.
I don't know. It was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. You played well that day too. You played better than I did. Anyway, fun.
I don't remember.
Something else that's fun is fall golf.
Yeah,
who doesn't like fall golf? Especially in Canada.
And especially even better after the Canadian season's done and you want to stretch out your year a little bit more and you want to go, all right, not ready to put away the clubs yet.
No.
Where do I go that's got some decent weather that's not the same as what we've got right here? and maybe travel a little bit, but maybe not head all the way too far south. So
now we've done a lot of fall
trips.
The road trip used to be fall, like that used to be October, man. I mean, the very, very first road trip we ever did was to Michigan, to the Sunrise side.
Yep.
Freaking mug.
That's my thing.
To the Sunrise side. We were at OVGA President's Day at Laramie.
Yep.
We threw and we packed the freaking Hyundai Elantra Flagstick wagon.
Yeah, everything except gas.
Yeah, we packed everything in there except gas, and we bolted our way up, and we pretty much had the red light on the gas tank from gas can from about Perth, all the way to
I don't even know where it was.
Peterborough is where we ultimately ended up getting gas. So we drove. We were empty from about Perth to Peterborough. Now just think about that. Anybody that's ever driven from Perth to Peterborough on Highway 17, 7.
In the middle of the night
at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. There's no gas stations open.
No,
it's dark.
Yeah,
there's nothing around from Perth to Peterborough.
No.
And we drove on empty. We had no choice. There was no choice. You either stop and, I mean, I didn't have CAA back then, so you weren't stopping and calling CAA to bring you gas. You're basically going, let's just drive as far as we can on empty and see what happens.
We have to push it.
We didn't exactly have bottles of alcohol in the back that we could just dump some ethanol into the friggin' tank there and turbo booster. Anyway, okay.
Is that how it works?
So people have been asking about late fall trips.
Yeah.
After the Canadian season is done.
Mm-hmm.
So Canadian golf, awesome in the fall. Do it until you can't. But when it's done, where can you go? For some late fall trips where the golf is still really good, and it's kind of like the later you go, the further south you're going to go. So in the early parts of late parts of September, October, you don't have to go all the way down just yet.
No, and the thing is, we love fall golf, as we mentioned. You like the colors, the trees, and so forth. So you don't want to eliminate that kind of right away. So it's kind of nice to stay in areas that not necessarily not fall like. You want to still have that sort of same experience, not get excessively hot, get some warm weather, decent enough for golf. So as you said, we've done this many times. I mean, I don't know, probably 20 plus road trips on top of other ones.
I miss them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just wanted to throw out a few that we've taken over the years, and I had to even kind of look back to remember some of the notes from some of the courses and things we played. I'm sure when you look at the notes here, you're like, oh yeah, that place or that place. And one of these is actually prompted by, I was having a discussion with a fellow Canadian, and their daughter was considering a scholarship in West Virginia, which is a place that we went down and played. And now West Virginia is not the most populous place. We'll tell you that right now. But really cool when it comes to things like elevation, tree lines, just overall stunning beauty as far as these golf courses. And, they're not overrun. And that's, no offense to our friends at like Myrtle Beach and so forth, but when you get a destination that's so popular and it gets busy, so it becomes a lot more harder to get tee times and high demand. So it's kind of nice sometimes to head to some places that maybe not quite as busy, just because they're not on the radar as much for as many people, but absolutely stunning.
Yes, very much. West Virginia, you mentioned Glade Springs.
Yeah, good one there.
Yeah, very much.
Massive elevations.
Yes, huge elevations. I mean, I don't remember really playing too much in West Virginia that didn't have pretty extreme elevation to it.
Yeah, Glade Springs, I think I'll have to look back. I know I've got a couple of photos. I remember this one par 5 that we're probably 100 feet up, and it was like 600 yards, and it just went down this pipeline with the mountains in the background, and I'm just sitting there and looking.
I remember that one.
Yes,
I remember that one. There was
and
you had to go down. There was this serpent,
massive snake, right?
Yeah, with a fence all along the front of it too. I remember that. We were with Janine.
Sure. Yes. No.
That's when we were at Ogilvy Resort.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was someone else.
From Tours in West Virginia, wasn't she? Not Janine.
Yeah. I don't know.
Frig.
Yes. Anyways,
I hope she's not listening. and realizing we don't remember who you are. But anyway, she was little short lady. She was awesome.
I remember who you're talking about.
Yes. Stonewall Resort was another one.
Yes.
On that trip. That was awesome too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm reminiscing. I'm getting all nostalgic.
Yeah.
I might
the other thing about
about
Glade Springs is that, there's a few golf courses there, and I mean, they've got a facility that, they had some nice condos, they had bowling alleys and stuff there. They had the one golf course that had the black sand bunkers on the George Cobb course, which is really neat to see. It's basically just a derivative of coal, really, is what it amounts to. And obviously West Virginia's got a strong coal mining history in that state. So really unique when you go and see these black bunkers that are there. They're very, very distinctive.
But isn't it cool when golf courses do that? And I know this is going to do with fall golf, but isn't it cool when golf courses take something like that is completely different, off the wall, off the chart, unique, doesn't really change the playability of them that much. It's just,
no, it doesn't.
But how cool is it to see something like that? It becomes a little bit of a hook. Maybe they don't need it, but they have it. At least when you got multiple courses.
Yeah, for sure. And then Ogilvy was really interesting.
Yeah, Ogilvy was awesome too.
Yeah, it's an old school resort, near Wheeling. The golf course is, it's not exactly on the world class level, but it's on the fun level. That's for sure.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so cool little spots there. And then next door, Virginia. Another
Charlottesville.
time. Yeah, we've done a bunch of trips
we have.
through Virginia, and part of that is driving through Virginia as well. So I just picked sort of the west side of the state and the east side of the state, and the west side is Charlottesville, where people will be familiar. The University of Virginia is located, and we had some fun there.
Yeah. We didn't. I don't think we finished that round.
The Birdwood one, no, because
that's the one with all the beautiful flower beds and stuff.
Yeah, and it got flooded out. It's been redesigned since then, but this is right around the university. Boar's Head Resort is there. We had dinner at Boar's Head. U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno was at the table next to us. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Then we played another golf course, which has actually been
Janice.
renamed.
Was that her name? Janice?
It's still working.
Continue on.
Anyways, the another golf course that we played there, but it's been renamed since then. But again, beautiful area, mountainous, a lot of trees and so forth. And then you can hit that on your way further south if you want. That's a good spot that you're going to go to. And then out towards Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg, we've done this a couple of times. We did a specific trip for Virginia Beach, but I still remember, Royal New Kent and Stonehaven, which are the Mike Strands golf courses. They certainly stood out for us. Royal New Kent, known sometimes to actually have sheep out there. Two of the 9 Mike Strands golf courses, and then Golden Horseshoe, which is in Williamsburg. So if you're not going to play at Kings Mill, Golden Horseshoe is great. Gold Course there, the classic Robert Trent Jones Senior golf course. They took this magnificent golf course and they tucked it into 100 acres, which is amazing. And they really were able to do that by a series of par 3s that are around a lake that sort of connect the golf course. Brilliant as far as design. The green course that's there. They're also adding another golf course there shortly as well. But, those were good ones as well.
Yeah. And of course, North Carolina,
tons.
Everybody's familiar with going, North Carolina, South Carolina, but North Carolina, the Raleigh Triangle, we were fortunate to get onto some pretty good golf courses there. UNC Findlay was amazing. I remember that.
I love that.
That was awesome. Lonnie Pool.
Not our favorite.
No,
not our favorite.
There's some really wonky, weird holes and layouts to that there. TPC Wakefield Plantation. Probably not at the top of my list with respect to TPC courses go. I think if I remember correctly, was that
all the power lines?
Yeah, but it was a course. I don't know that it was that. No, it was TPC for Virginia Beach, where we basically in a cart.
Oh yeah,
we were up against it. We had to get from there.
Yes,
I think to Birdwood. I think we were bolting hard.
Right.
We were supposed to play the Red Devil or whatever it was there. And
Devil's Point.
We're not going to go there.
They were overseeding, so
there was a little bit of fescue in the fairway.
Exactly.
And so we played, and then we bolted through TPC for Virginia Beach in like an hour and 10 minutes. Like it was like the fastest round of golf we've ever played, and played well.
Yes,
I'm not going to say we played well. Played through a whole bunch of groups. TPC Wakefield Plantation, but that was TPC Virginia Beach was one of the ones that kind of like as far as TPC courses go. But there you go. I mean, that's and that's just a sampling. I mean, obviously, if anybody is listening, watching, otherwise is interested in doing a trip, just reach out. We're not going to have all the answers, but we're going to have quite a few of them. And if we don't know them, we're probably going to be able to point you in the right direction as to who to talk to get something set up. So
you got it.
All right. That's enough for fall golf for now. Let's talk more fall golf. Let's talk President's Cup.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, before we get to that,
okay,
we'll remind people that yes, we're just over a week away from the Solheim Cup, and we're not ignoring it. We will discuss it next week on the show.
Yes,
and that'll be a bit of a focus. So just for people, if they think we're just skipping it over and to get in the President's Cup, we're not. It's just more important right now that we're talking about these captains picks and the fact that obviously here in Canada, the President's Cup is a little bit more relevant just because Royal Montreal is the host golf course this year.
There you go. Well said. Disclaimer out of the way. So the 6 automatic picks were obviously decided after the Tour Championship. And so we don't even really need to discuss the 6 automatic picks because they're automatic. Yesterday or Tuesday, the picks were put in by Jim Furyk and Mike Weir to round out their team of 12 for the upcoming President's Cup at Royal Montreal. And we can burn through Jim Furyk pretty quick because Jim Furyk basically looked at the rankings and went 7 through 12.
Yeah, which
now, we can talk about, I
have some issues with one of the players.
Yeah, so let's talk about that really quickly. First of all, Keegan Bradley, no surprise. Hot on like you got to pick. He played very well, especially in the last 3 or 4 rounds of golf. Played extremely well. Kept getting better and better and better as the weeks went on, putting himself in position to get into the Tour Championship, which he did, and then was in contention for a while, I guess, and then he wasn't. Sam Burns.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
His play and his performance of late has been really good, especially if you looked at things like stroke gains overall. He's one of the top ranked players, not an issue. Those are not the issues I have as far as players.
Okay. Tony Finau.
Good with that. He's had the experience in there again, playing well, good on the rankings. 3-2-3 is his record. He's already played. He's got some experience in the President's Cup.
Brian Harman.
Harman's an interesting one. His game has been somewhat he had a little bit of a lull kind of in the summertime. He's kind of worked his way back up at the end of the season. He is a rookie. That one will be interesting, but again, we'll start to discuss about whether these matter or not. But
Russell Henley.
Henley's been a bit of a dog as far as being on tour. As far as when I say a dog, I mean a dog in a great way. If you look at strokes gained as far as his play this year in the last part of the year, he's actually 4th ranked among the Americans, behind Scheffler, Schauffele, and Morikawa. So great pick there as far as for their team.
So clearly then your issue is with Max Homa.
It is.
So let's talk about Max Homa. Max Homa was the 12th ranked in points for the U.S. team. He was basically 0.02 points higher on the list than Chris Kirk.
Yeah, and the thing is with Homa is that A lot of his points were accumulated from last year. Granted, he's 4-0-0 in his previous experience, but I will tell you that in the last 12 months, his game has definitely declined, especially in the last 6 months. He's actually negative strokes gained overall in his game, to the point that he is down in the, if you look at that relative to the other players, he's down in the 30 plus ranking as far as those Americans. So, if you look at the other players, and, obviously people will look at the points, but I don't always look at the points, because the points are relative to,
I don't think you can look at the points
solely,
because the position, isn't Harman kind of the same thing? Harman won the Open Championship and then was playing really well for the better part of 2023.
Yeah.
And then
he lulled in the summer this year, but he's come up more in the fall, and his strokes gained, his position is actually pretty good. But I mean, if I was going to look at a player, and, a lot of people will look at him and go, why would you take him? He's too far down in the points or whatever. But the player who actually is ranked much higher, there's a couple of them that just fall in just after, Tony Finau, would be, two players, Billy Horschel and Justin Thomas, have both surged towards the end of the year here. And especially from a, strokes gain standpoint, Horschel is like kind of right up there. And Justin Thomas is probably the one that's really interesting, even though he's down there in points. You got to remember, he's a guy who's 10-3-2 all time in the President's Cup. So he's got some experience. He can help you out. I know they've got captain's assistants to help from a leadership standpoint and so forth. But, his grit and determination on top of his surging play towards the last part of the year here would have made me think, do I take him over Homa? So I'm a little, although Homa obviously is super popular, I don't know if he, if they should have gone that deep.
Do you like Chris Kirk?
I don't.
He's not really giving you anything any better than you're getting with Homa.
No. He's back down by, he's way back down. His game has been up and down all year. He's played in one President's Cup before. He was 1-2-0 in that. I don't think he's there. There's other players that are up over top of him by far. I mean, obviously it'd be nice to say, he could play, but we know this is run by the PGA Tour. But we know that if we look at the data golf, when we look at their rankings of the players, Bryson DeChambeau is number 7 as far as strokes gained. Obviously can't play because, he's affiliated
with PGA Tour thing, right? Yeah.
It's a PGA Tour thing. But the next highest players who were not chosen, were Billy Horschel and Justin Thomas as far as their level of play, not by points. And they would have been ahead. Even a player like Denny McCarthy and Davis Thompson have been playing.
Well, what about Batia?
Better. Batia would have definitely been.
I would have honestly. I look at this list now. I'm not looking at metrics and statistics and things like that. I'm looking at the tournaments that I've watched over the last.
Right.
And for me, when it comes to these selections, this is the opportunity for the captains to forget about the points completely. Just zero out the points to nothing. The points get you in the top 6. The points get you into a position to be close to the top 6.
Now you got to put your team together.
Now you put your team together. So all I'm looking at in those next 6 are the players that are putting up the best results, the most consistent play in the last 6 to 12 events. I'm not even looking back at what they did in the Masters or anything like that. I'm looking at, and Batia, every single time I turn on an event and watch when he's playing, he's not just making the cut. He's in the hunt. He's in the field. If not in contention or close to contention, he's there. So I don't know how you don't have that guy in there, especially considering even on points, he's within 0.04 of Homa.
14th. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think Furyk just defaulted, went the 7-12, made it easy, has a way to justify the pick. And then on the other side, you know what? They've won the last 9 President's Cups on the US side. So, I could say maybe it doesn't matter, but the thing is that it's going to matter a lot if all of a sudden they lose. And he wasn't creative enough to put together the players. Maybe he thinks it's the perfect solution, but I think you're right. I think I probably would have been playing around a little bit more with those captain's picks to make sure that they fit better with the other 6 players, that you put together the teams, the combinations for the formats, that you had the right skill sets to create the winning opportunity there. Because again, you could end up being a pretty big dog. You know, I use that term again, but yeah, you could be in
you don't
real
own
trouble.
A dog, do you?
No, you could be real trouble if you're Jim Furyk, if all of a sudden US has won 9 in a row, and then all of a sudden you are the captain for the team that ends up losing. So
yeah. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears off the American side, because they're going to lose anyway. And nobody's cheering for them.
Love it.
So let's go over to the international side, and obviously, again, top 6 are the top 6. So let's take a look at the next 6. We're put a little more thought into it. We don't know exactly what went into his decision making, as far as, you know, why he chose who he chose, and we don't have to agree with it, and I don't. But I don't agree with it for my own reasons that I just previously mentioned, because how I look at it as as picking the next 6. But let's take a look first.
And I will say they are the team that lost out the most with the Live PGA split.
Yes,
because they are the ones that would have had players like Joaquin Niemann, Louis Oosthuizen, Cam Smith. Those are the ones that are actually up there in the rankings, even though in the World Golf Rankings, obviously they've dropped, but because of the President Cup points, they would have been up there, and their overall record, they're experienced players as well. So they're the team that are going to miss out on those players the most. Okay,
so let's start off right off the bat. His first pick, Corey Connors.
Yeah,
not really surprised there. I mean, he's number 1. He's a Canadian. Number 2, he's been playing really well.
Yeah.
So he's
very
7th
well. Overall, fantastic.
7th in points. So he's right there. So all good. Then we look at Minwoo Lee. Minwoo Lee, which was number 9. I have no problem with Minwoo Lee as a pick either. I think that's a great pick. Fantastic player. Didn't play in the last 2 Presidents or FedEx Cup events, but you know, was too far back to really, you know, he's definitely, you know, not even going to go here on Bez's pronunciation of his last name. We'll just call him Bez. I like this pick too. Played basically, had a T22 at Wyndham, and then played all 3 FedEx Cup events to the end of the year.
All super steady all year long.
So we got no issues with that. Next pick, Taylor Pendrith. Again, I have no problem with this. We talked about this the last show, and I said it would not surprise me. And in my estimation, he's going to choose Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith for, you know, obvious reasons. They're both Canadian. They're both playing really well. Again, Pendrith played
Tour Championship.
All the way to the Tour Championship, had 2 T14. So those last 3 events, I'm looking at those last 3 or 4 events, particularly Wyndham, because that's the one that's the one everybody plays to get into the to the playoffs. That's the one they want to better their position. So how they play in that is really important. And then do they play all 3? So that they better themselves each round to get themselves into the Tour Championship. Then he chooses Siwoo Kim. And I honestly don't have a huge problem with this one either.
He's 4-3-0. He's played in a couple of these already. Again, pretty steady. Had a good part of the summer, a little bit less spectacular towards the fall, but still up there. As far as play.
So the only issue, I guess, again, it comes down to much the same with the American team, where Max Homa, the last guy to get in, is the questionable. Why would you pick him instead of him? And it's a hard one. And I understand Mike Weir's position of saying, okay, I have to choose one more player, and I basically have 3 Canadians to choose from. I've got Nick Taylor, I've got Adam Hadwin, and Taylor Pendrith all close in points, but Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, and Mackenzie Hughes. And he chooses Mackenzie Hughes.
Yeah. So Taylor, we can throw out right now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that because,
he hasn't played. He's kind of like Max Homa. He hasn't really done a whole lot since. I mean, he did fairly well since he won the RBC Canadian Open, but since then, he's kind of just been riding the coattails of that for a while.
From mid part of the year, he has not been spectacular at all. And
I got no issues with that. Throw him aside. It's really between Hadwin and Hughes, and I don't understand. So why? I know that. Okay. First of all,
I want to know.
Take a look at the results in the last 4 events this year.
And no, both of them. You said you weren't looking at results.
No, I am. No, that is. Okay. I am only looking at results.
Okay, so then keep going. And both of them give you my points.
Both of them finished T28 at Wyndham. Both of them got into the first FedEx Cup event. Both of them finished in the. Hadwin was T50 at the first FedEx Cup. Mackenzie Hughes was 58. But Mackenzie Hughes did not move on. Hadwin goes on to T41 at the next FedEx Cup event, and which is very close. T41, if you look at the points, very close to getting through. Like it was a matter of strokes, one way or the other. Could have had him in T30. So I think leading into an event like this, you want the players who are playing with, and then if you look at the rest of the season. It's very close between the two of them, but I just think that Hadwin had a better finish to his year than Hughes. Now, there are other metrics, and I know you look at everything strokes gained to this and that and whatever. I look at the overall. I'm looking strictly at the overall play and results, not he has a better driving percentage or he has a better sand save percentage. That's great, except whatever his better percentage was didn't translate into better play.
So we're gonna. I mean, here's the thing: Hadwin has a little bit of advantage because he has a little bit of experience.
Exactly.
He's 1, 3, and 2. He's played in that or whatever. The slight difference between the two, because again, they're very close. As you mentioned already, it's very close as play. Hadwin's was more stronger earlier in the year. Hughes mid to late, he had a little bit of surge. The biggest difference here comes to tools that a player has, especially when it comes to the situation of team play and match play. And if we look at Mackenzie Hughes and Adam Hadwin and their skill levels, they're very close in things like driving accuracy, that sort of aspect of it. But Mackenzie Hughes is off the charts when it comes to putting and short game play. Like, he is extreme compared to a lot of other players, even some of the top players that are in this team, which can be a useful tool, especially in a team situation. And I think as a result of that, when you look at it from a data perspective, that was the difference. And I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, but I'm saying that was likely the difference maker for my
I don't think that there is a right or wrong. And that's the thing. I mean, these are, when we look at stuff like this, even analyzing Max Homa, we're looking at data. We're looking at somebody has an aspect of their game that is stronger than another player. And it is, for the most part, until they get to the final day, it is a partner's event.
And in the end, only posterity is going to tell us whether it's right or wrong.
Well, exactly. I mean, if all of a sudden Mackenzie Hughes goes 0-4,
right,
and we lose, then the decision is wrong.
Well, it could be.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Like, that's how we're going to perceive it. We're going to say,
right,
nice job, Weir. You picked the guy that went 0-4, but they could have picked Hadwin and he could have went 0-4. Like, you don't know.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah. I just look at it like I said, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of who would have been a better selection based on how they were playing. Now, that said, I'm even going to throw that aside and say maybe the decision really wasn't between Hadwin and Mackenzie Hughes, because I still don't think that it was. I think that the choice that he should have made was Cam Davis.
I agree with that one as well, because if you look at the level of his play, and again, he's a guy who's 2-3-0. He's got experience that is in this. And if you look at him from a a ranking standpoint, he is a lot closer. Now, that said, he has not played as well in the last little bit. But if you look at him,
T5 at the BMW.
No, but I mean overall trend from midsummer on. I'm looking at overall his trend, but you're right. That is because the thing is, when it comes down to it, how much is it going to matter? That's the other side of it.
I don't know.
And these are obviously super talented players, but are we taking a knife to a gunfight here, or we don't know that until it happens? But I mean, obviously, Weir is trying to create the best possible team so that doesn't happen. And it's not a given that the international team is going to get whooped.
So yeah, and you got some players up top that are playing really well. I mean, obviously with Matsuyama, Sunjae Im, Adam Scott, Tom Kim, Jason Day is always kind of like a weird one for me, but there's some good guys in their top six. I just look at things like, I look at a guy like Cam Davis, and I look at how he played, through the FedEx Cup. Like when it mattered at the end of the season to play well, he elevated. Yes, he missed the cut at the Wyndham. Lots of guys did. But then he already had top, status to get into the first FedEx Cup event. And then he T40 there and moved through. And then he T5, which, I mean, that's about as good as you could possibly do without winning.
Now,
and just missed out again, right? So,
do you know who's the hottest hand from analytics, trending, so forth, and would be the highest ranked player over top of those two who didn't even, or top of those three?
Vegas?
Is actually the guy who actually showed up and was playing super well at the Open Championship, Tristan Lawrence. From South Africa. He is the guy who was actually, if you looked at all the rankings, he would be the next highest guy in a lot of the data that didn't make the team or is not at live. So again, you got a South African player that kind of got ignored in the mix, and I think part of that is the tangible, the looking at the intangibles like fan support. He's obviously trying to have as many Canadians on there as possible.
Get that, but then you can overdo that too. I mean, you can overdo it to the point where you start taking too many Canadians just because it's in Canada,
right?
And then it's becomes too much of a local show. And I think, I don't know. I mean, time will tell, right? Whether they're right or wrong decisions. And even if they're wrong decisions, the other decisions could be wrong decisions too. So that's where we're at. All right.
Totally. I agree.
Okay. We're up against it here. Quick tail of the tape before we get out of here. U.S. versus international. Total rookies, U.S. 4, international 2. Average age, pretty much the same, 32, 31. Average world rank. Internationals, 35. Americans, 12. Tour wins, Americans 71, internationals 51. Major wins, US 9, international 3. Previous President's Cups played in, Americans 11, internationals 28.
More rookies.
President's Cup matches, again, the international on the higher side, 128 to 47. President's Cup points, internationals 53 to 26 and a half.
So that's the average spot there, I guess.
Driving distance, dead on, 303 each. Driving accuracy, same, 60% each. Greens and regulations, same, 65% each. So the tail of the tape would suggest that this is going to be a good match. The reality is that it's going to be an international drubbing over the U.S. And to my U.S. counterparts and friends down south of our border, sorry for the loss.
Sorry, A.
Sorry, A, for the loss. I'm going to eat some blubber and cover it in maple syrup. Okay. Sadly, as much as this discussion has been fun, we do have to get out because otherwise we're going to be forced to get out. So, great show as always. I hope everybody enjoys the President's Cup and everything else that's going on over the next week. Yeah, still a little bit of this, but we probably won't talk about it again until right before. Solheim Cup talk next week, likely. Thank you to our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and of course our presenting sponsor, Golf PEI. Golfman's Head Round's premier Canadian golf destination, boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country, with over 400 fairways closer than you think. Exquisite culinary experiences, top-tiered accommodations is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book those golf vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca. I hope you've been enjoying hearing and watching. Be sure to follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us, click the notification bell. Make sure you never miss a single episode. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. But until next week, I'm Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stick.